Hey grade 11s, it's Mrs. Friesen. I'm going to do this video here today using the slope formula because I know that we've actually already done it in class, and I want to do an intro video so you guys can get used to how this is going to go. Now that being said, I know some of you actually weren't here the day we did this video, so this will actually be helpful for you. Also, a couple heads ups. One, the stylus that the school has for me is not very good at this time. So sometimes things are a little messy and I have to do some erasing. So just hold tight with that while you watch these videos. And if you can't read anything that I'm writing, just message me on our Teams page or on the chat thing, and I can clarify it for you. But I think we'll be okay so far. All right, so just to go back, actually, before I even do this lesson, I just want to remind you that the last thing we did when most of us were here is we talked about grade and steepness. Of course, these aren't filled out online because I didn't put them online, but you should have up to here filled in for sure. And when you, if you don't already have them, you should make sure that you can get them from somebody. Okay. So let's do it using the slope formula. So when we take a look at this, there are our first two unique types of lines. The first one I'm going to talk about is here on the left. It says undefined. I want you to also add in vertical, okay? Because this is a vertical line, of course, and its slope is called undefined. So the reason that we call the slope undefined, so remember that slope is equal to... See what I mean about this stylus, you guys? Gong show. Okay, rise over run. And in this case, if you take a look at this line, what you can see here is that it's actually just rising forever, right? It's just going up and up and up, or down and down and down. But it never goes side to side, right? It has no left or right movement. And so because of that, we can say that the rise exists, and it doesn't matter how much that rise is. It is rising, but the run is 0. And because of that, we actually can't... put the slope as a number because we can't divide by 0 in math. And so then that's where we get this term undefined. Okay, so that's the first key thing. Then the next one is I'm going to talk about the horizontal line over here. Okay, horizontal line, similar idea. We can see that knowing our slope formula, right? Slope is equal to rise over run. We can see that this line is running and running and running, right? It's going left to right or right to left forever. It's moving in the left and right directions. However, we can see that there's no up or down movement, right? It's not going up or down in any spot. It's only moving side to side. And so similar to the vertical line, we can see that we can only fill in one of these values. And so in this case, the run could be however much, right? It's going to go left or right however much, but it's never going up or down. So 0 rise. And so because of that, then we can say that the slope is 0. And so that's true for every horizontal line. The slope is always 0. And it's true for every vertical line that the slope is always undefined. Okay, so those are two unique lines, and it's good to know those two things when we're talking about lines. Now, what happens when we have lines that aren't vertical or horizontal, right? So lines that are moving up and to the right or down and to the right, like these two lines. We want to talk about those two instances. So let's take a look here first at, whoop, there we go, this line. Okay, I'm just going to pick another color. All right, so in this case, I've already highlighted 2 of the points for you, right? So I've already, on your graph, kind of labeled them for you. And that's just because it's our first example, so I want to show you that you can pick 2 points like that. But I do want to make mention that you could pick any 2 points at all, okay? So there's no restriction. So if somebody wanted to pick this point up here, or another person wanted to pick this point down here, that's fine. Those are both good points as well. They're points on the graph. That's all that really matters. Okay, so let's calculate our rise and our run. Okay, that's going to give us our slope. So if we take a look at the rise, remember that's the vertical distance between the 2 points. So I'm just going to count all the way down from the top point to the, let me rephrase that. Okay, when I take the rise, I'm always going to start at the left point, okay, and I'm always going to count to the height of the right point. So starting at the left point's height and then count to the right point's height. So the left point is here, and we can see that I had to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 squares to get to the top point's height. Now, the reason that's a positive 4 is because we went up. If I was going down, it would have been negative 4. Okay, and then we're going to count the run by doing the same thing, starting at the left point's spot and moving right until we find the right point. Okay, so you can see here, if I were to count that, that would be me moving 6 to the right. Remember that moving to the right is positive and moving to the left is negative, and then I can plug that in. And then I always want to reduce, sorry, I'm having a hard time with this 2 apparently. There we go. You're going to reduce that to 2 over 3, or if you wanted to use your calculator to make that into a decimal, that would be 0.67. Both of those are great. Okay, so those are both correct answers, and that shows that for every 2 squares that we go up, we're going to go to the right 3 squares, and that's what we see happening in the graph. Okay, let's move over to the second example. So, same thing here. We are going to look at this line, right, and we're going to figure out how much is it rising, how much is it running. Now, worth mentioning, this line does not have points highlighted on it, okay? So when I did this in class, I don't remember which points I chose because it doesn't matter, as long as I'm choosing 2 points that are at, like, solid cross points. I mean, like, when they, like, where they overlap, you know, like at the corner of 2 of the grid lines. Okay, so I'm going to, in this case, I'm just going to pick this point here, okay, and I'm going to pick this point. But like I said, it doesn't matter at all. If you were in class and you're kind of retaking these notes, a reminder that it's fine, okay? It doesn't matter which points you use. It just matters that they're solid points and not like randomly in the middle of the line, like over here or something. Okay, so let's do this again. Okay, so rise over run, and so we're going to do that same thing. We're going to count from the left point's height to the right point's height, and then we're going to count from the left point spot to the right point spot for the run. So from the left point, I'm going to count here. Where do we end up? So I can see I'm going down here. I'm going to get to that spot. And you can see that I counted down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spots. And so I went down 8 spots, but because it was down, that's a negative 8. Okay, so it's a reminder that when you move down, that's negative. When you move across, up, that's a positive. Then I'm going to count from the left point spot horizontally to the right point spot. So I'm just counting across here, all these squares, until I get to the right point. And I can see that I moved 4 to the right. Again, a reminder that 4 units we move to the right, that becomes a positive 4. If I'd move to the left, it would be negative 4. And then, as always, I'm going to reduce into your final terms, or lowest terms. So in this case, negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. All right, so that's my slope. Awesome. So I'm going to move on to the next page now, and we just have 2 examples here where we're actually going to need to use the slope formula. So I know that I said earlier, and I stand by this, that we're not going to need to use the slope formula too much this year, but there are going to be occasions like here when I just have 2 points given and I don't have a graph to look at or anything else that I am going to actually need that slope formula. So we're gonna just do a little bit of a refresher on that. Okay, so a reminder that the slope formula, oh goodness, let's try that again here, is y2 minus y1 all divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, so what I would recommend, and of course you can do what you would like, but I would always recommend labeling your points. Okay, so I'm going to get x1, y1 here, and x2, y2 over here. Now, if I had labeled these the opposite, so if I made this point x1, y1, that's fine, as long as you're not mixing and matching, like x1 is with y2 or something like that. Just make sure that x1 and y1 are in the same point, x2 and y2 are in the same point. Okay, let's do some calculations. So we're going to plug that in. So we can see that y2 is 70 and y1 is 40. And we can see that x2, my bad, is 7, and x1 is 4. So I'm just plugging those into the formula. So once you've done this labeling, then the rest of your work is actually very straightforward and laid out for you. Okay, and then remember that you're always going to figure out the numerator, and then the denominator, and then you're going to divide. Okay, so just a quick reminder on that so that we follow bed mass, properly. All right. Then let's do the other example. So, same thing, okay? So we're going to calculate the slope by first labeling our points, okay? So x1, y1, x2, y2. And then we're going to plug that in into our handy slope formula. A reminder again that the 1 and 2 on x and y are not exponents, okay, they're just labels. They're just saying the first point and the second point. So I'm going to plug in the first point here and the second point here, and it doesn't have anything to do with exponents. All right, so let's see, 32 is y2 and 22 is y1, and 5 is x2 and 3 is x1. So I can just plug those in. Okay, so we get 10 divided by 2, which reduces down to 5. So there we go. That's the slope of each of those lines, whatever they might look like, and even though we can't see them. All right, so hopefully that gave you an idea of kind of what this is going to look like online. Again, I'm sorry about the stylus problems. I'm going to work on getting better with using this thing. But if you have any questions, let me know. Pardon me, chat with me on team chat or post a question in the group, and we'll talk about it. All right, I hope you guys are staying safe, you're keeping healthy, and you're not feeling too alone or lonely or anything like that. Reach out to me if you need to talk at all. I'm here for you guys. All right, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.